All right, let's move on to the Burmese. Okay, pretty unique civ here. I mean, they're all unique in some way. Now, what does Burmese have? So Burmese, they have a bit of a different play style compared to the other civs that we worked on today or looked at. So their main bonus is going to be this lumber camp upgrades free. So what that means is that as soon as you reach feudal age, this double bit axe upgrade is free and instant. So not only do you get the benefits instantly on feudal age, you also get it for free. So getting up to the feudal age really fast for free double bit axe can be very good. So normally when you go up to feudal age, if you go up super fast, you usually just can't afford that many things. But if you get double bit axe for free, then suddenly you can be up fast, and then you can also, say, afford men-at-arms upgrade. And looky here, we've actually got +1 attack on our infantry. So we can go up on 19 or even 20 pop, 19 or 20 vills even, something like that, like early for men-at-arms compared to other civs. And we can have a men-at-arms rush with lumber upgrade, so it's pretty strong, and +1 attack. It could be very good. Getting up to the next age with Burmese early, you just get benefits. Even if you can't really afford much, you just get free wood upgrades, and it's already good. And the same can be said about castle age. If you go fast castle with this civ, you just get free bow saw right away. One of Burmese best openings is to do the Phosphorus Arambai. So you can go for your like 6 on sheep, 3 on wood, and then we can bring in boars and go up to like 6 on berries, eventually get to 6 on stone, go up to the feudal age on like 22 villagers, make 2 villagers in feudal age with the market and blacksmith, and then get up to castle age on like 24 vills. And then we're on stone and we make a castle, and we've got bow saw. Arambai mainly cost wood, and we have free wood upgrade. Maybe we'd put the castle next to the wood and the gold. And then we're just spamming Arambai, and that unit is very good. So that can be a very good play. Otherwise, you could go fast castle into monks as well. Actually, one of my favorite plays with the Burmese, specifically, is not to do FC Arambai, is to do fast castle 3 monastery monks from home. If you have 3 monastery monks and your opponent has feudal units, it doesn't even matter. Like, you're just going to be converting them from 9 range. If it's archers, you outrange them by so much. Oh, yeah. I should mention why this is so good with the civ. So not only the economy, but also monastery techs cost minus 50%. So that means that you can get sanctity for 88 gold. That's so cheap. And fervor 70 gold. And redemption is 238 gold. So if your opponent gets some crazy idea that they're going to siege push you, monks are your best friend as the Burmese, because you just go for redemption and sanctity, and your monks will just convert all the mangonels, and you will win the game, ideally. So yeah, those 2 FCs are really good with Burmese. You would say those are not really standard though, but they can be good. Try them out if you are wanting to have some unique gameplay. But if you want to play more standard, their men-at-arms rush, very good. As I said earlier, with free double bit axe and +1 attack. I mean, the attack isn't that much to get excited about, because, yeah, it's just the men-at-arms are going to do men-at-arms things with +1 attack or without. Like, they're still going to do kind of the same thing, but, you know, it's always good to have more stats. So men-at-arms into archers can be quite good. Since you have free double bit axe, maybe you can afford to go to 4 on gold earlier. So you can just have that mining camp. Just having more resources come in and spending less resources just allow you to get earlier farms. It can be just very good to play men-at-arms archers with the civ. Pretty standard stuff. You can play scouts with them as well, but they don't have any bonuses for scouts early. So yeah, they're considered a cavalry civ, but what do they get for cavalry? Battle elephant, get extra armor. Okay, that doesn't matter. Mana per cavalry, unique tech. Okay, +4 attack against archers, but that's super late because you need a castle and you need to get this tech. Another battle elephant's extra armor. They have nothing actually for cavalry. They have cavalry in its name, but no, that's nothing. Yeah, okay, you have bloodlines and husbandry, but yeah, they don't have anything really pushing them to play scouts, but you can play scouts with them. You can play scouts with any civ. As I've said before, you can play scouts with Dravidians, and it's actually still good initially as you're opening. Because what scouts does is they run around, get scouting information, pick off units here and there, prevent the opponent from walling properly, force the opponent to make spearmen if they want to, or if the opponent's playing his own scouts, you just match his scouts, and then you can protect your walling villagers with your scouts. That can be very good. And yeah, obviously having a stable is just good, because later on you can add a few knights, you can get Bloodlines Husbandry for your Arambai, you can play Light Cav in some situations as well, can be quite good. Say against enemy monks, because actually, even though we have cheaper monastery techs, there's one thing we're lacking, and that's heresy. If the opponent goes for his own monks, he's just going to convert your monks, and you're going to try and convert his monks, and he's just going to have heresy, and he's just going to, like, lose his monks, but then you're not going to lose your monks. You kind of want to have Light Cav to pick off enemy monks in that situation. This comes up more on something like Arena, but, you know, if your plan is to go FC monks, trust me, it comes up sometimes on Arabia as well, if you're clowning around on Arena, or on Arabia. So, yeah, it's something to keep in mind. In that situation, Light Cav can be good. For sure. Even though Burmese doesn't actually have any real consistent eco bonus, like this lumber upgrade free, it helps them initially, but once your opponent researches that, then your eco level is kind of the same. It's just you spent less on your techs. Burmese eco actually still feels good because you can snowball this. So if you go up to Castle Age really fast and you have the free wood upgrades, suddenly you're going to be able to afford TCs earlier. Suddenly you're going to be able to afford farms earlier. And that is what will snowball your economy. Not any kind of direct, 5% faster farming or 10% faster wood chopping or whatever. Like, nothing like that. But it's just the fact that you get to spend more resources earlier on TCs instead of spending those resources on double attacks and stuff. That's what allows you to snowball your eco advantage as the Burmese. Getting your TCs down as Burmese pretty early can be quite good. And with the really cheap monk techs, you can just use monks to defend against almost anything. And yeah, you're going to have a good time. So yeah, men-at-arms archers with this civ. Scouts opening can be good. But other than that, they don't really have anything super crazy unique like Burgundians, Flemish militias. You could play towards crossbow and timing as well. You could go archers defending behind walls. It's not really a standard play with them though, because one thing that Burmese does lack is the second armor, which doesn't matter that much for crossbowmen, but it just means that the crossbowmen aren't going to be quite as strong even in Castle Age. And then, of course, without the second armor, your skirms also struggle a little bit, because without second armor, honestly, crossbowmen can just kill skirms. So yeah, you can use skirmishers as a backline with this civ, but they're not really good for tanking crossbowman shots like they would be if you had the second armor. But I actually do find myself doing longsword and elite skirmisher with this civ, just like Bulgarians. Similarly to Bulgarians, if you have longsword with the +2 attack and then skirmishers in the back to kill crossbowmen, it can be very good. Because in this situation, the crossbowmen are shooting the longsword, so it doesn't matter if you don't have the skirm armor. Keeping that in mind, for late game, your skirmishers have bracer. So you have full attack upgrades and full range upgrades on the skirm. So as long as they are a backline, they're still going to do what they need to do. So say that you're up against Arbs. If you have a unit in front, say that you have Light Cav in the front or Hussar in the front, you can have skirmishers in the back and shoot down the Arbs, and it's going to be completely fine. As long as your skirmishers aren't fighting the Arbs directly, or like the Arbs are shooting the skirms. Because if the Arbs are shooting the skirms, then yeah, the Arbs are probably still going to dominate. But with a meat shield in front, the skirms are completely serviceable. My personal favorite, I used to spam this civ all the time. I have like over 1,000 games with this civ. It's the Byzantines. And looking at the Byzantines initially, they might seem kind of plain, like they don't really have any eco bonus. They do have a lot of bonuses though. But if you look at their tech tree, like what are they missing? Parthian tactics? Okay, barracks is full. Bloodlines? Okay, they have everything else. They're missing heavy scorpion siege armor. Okay, whatever. Blast furnace, just one tech again from the blacksmith. Docks, I don't really care about docks. I mean, they're actually, wait, they have everything from the dock. They just don't have these because they have the Droman, which is just a replacement. So dock, okay, insane. University, okay, they don't have siege engineers, but this doesn't matter. These kind of sad to lack until you realize that actually they have extra building HP, so it sort of makes up for that. Towers, they got all the towers. They got cataphracts, which just kill everything. Amazing unit. Slightly weak to pierce damage, but you've got super skirms as well. No sappers, very sad, but don't worry, we will adapt. Their monk tech tree is insane too. No herbal medicine, but then you realize, oh, monk units have 2x healing speed, so they already just have monks that heal faster, so who needs herbal medicine, right? And then literally every eco-tech. So, okay, so in terms of bonuses, maybe they don't have any eco bonuses, but their tech tree is so full of everything. They just have so many things. So if you love to just make a lot of things, actually Byzantines can be good. But remember, if you're making a lot of things, that means you need a lot of upgrades, and that could be expensive, and that could be hard to afford if you have no eco bonus. So that's the trick with Byzantines, is yes, you have access to a lot of things, but that doesn't mean you can just go for everything. You still need to play, you still need to focus in on one or maybe two things. So a lot of the time, they're played as sort of an archer civ, because they have fully upgraded arbalisters, which is just an amazing unit. And then you have cheaper skirmishers. If the opponent's going skirmishers, you can go skirmishers against them. You don't generally go cav archers with them, because lacking bloodlines does make all of your cavalry a little weaker. So generally, cav archers aren't really touched as much. The infantry line, I mean, you could play them. They don't have blast furnace, but if you're up against eagles and you don't have a castle for cataphracts, maybe you play towards the swordsman line, could be good. You have cheap halberdiers, cheap spearmen. That can be very strong. Your hussar line, I mean, you have the final armor on the hussars, which is all that really matters. Of course, no blast furnace and no bloodlines, so they're a bit weaker. But that's fine. A hussar's a hussar. It's going to do the job. As long as it has the final armor, it's going to do the job, I should say. Paladins, I mean, okay, without bloodlines and no blast furnace, not amazing, but they can come into play sometimes. They have 2 more pierce armor than cataphracts. Like cataphracts, elite cataphracts have 1 pierce armor. Paladins have 3 pierce armor. So if you're fighting, say, archer type units like arbalisters, and for some reason you just can't make elite skirm as Byzantines, which just like basically never happens, you should be able to make elite skirm. Paladin is there. Paladin is there. A good cavalry unit, though, probably Byzantine's best cavalry or mounted unit, is going to be the camel rider. Look at this price. 41 food, 45 gold. So 86 resources. That's super cheap. They get minus 25% spearmen, skirmishers, and camels. So you really love to play camels in the mid game, because there's not, even without bloodlines, there's not so many civs that can really fight this unit effectively. Like, as long as you're fighting cavalry. Obviously, camels you build against enemy cavalry. If you're fighting knights, even though you don't have bloodlines, that discount, you just have a million units, and you just flood, and it can be so strong. Yeah, your siege ram, amazing to have. You have bombard cannons, amazing. Yeah, no siege engineers, but it's fine. So your tech tree is crazy good. In terms of openings, because that's what this video is about, that's what we're all about here, well, you don't have any eco bonus, but what you do have is Town Watch for free, so you can see everything. Byzantines is all about adapting to the situation. So there's not really necessarily one best way to play Byzantines. They have a lot of things that they can do. Now, in terms of utilizing their bonuses, what bonuses do we have that can allow us to go aggressive in the Feudal Age? Nothing for Dark Age. We don't have any militia bonus, but in Feudal Age, skirmishers and spearmen cost 25% less. Well, if you remember back to our general openings video, skirmisher spear forward is a thing. If you want to go aggressive with Byzantines, you can go up on like 20 pop, make a barracks at home, or it can be forward, but barracks at home is fine. You can be forward with a range. Say that your opponent's barriers are like this. You've got a range here, building spears. Like, the barracks forward actually does allow your spears to come out forward as well. But if your rush fails or something, it's kind of nice to have at home, to make spears at home. But you can have it forward as well, and you go skirm spear here, and suddenly, even if your opponent resource walls, that's going to be, you're going to be taking them off of berries. So what you do, like, think of what the opponent can do. If he goes archer opening, skirms kill that. If he goes scouts opening, spears kill that. So as long as he's not doing men-at-arms opening, then you're going to be taking him off of berries. If he's resource walled, he's gone. If he's not walled, he's gone. If he's got no food income, and he didn't plan to go men-at-arms opening anyways, he's going to be idling his TC. He's just going to be dead. It could be very good. Even though you're doing like 1 damage per hit, if you get like 5, 6 guys, especially with that scout cavalry, and the 2 or so villagers that you sent forward to get in on the action, you're going to be killing vills. So even though you're tickling the enemy, you tickle them to death. And yes, they eventually die. But one thing is, if your opponent goes men-at-arms, then maybe not the greatest to go skirm spear opening, because, or skirm spear forward, because, yeah, the men-at-arms will take those down. And it's going to be a disaster if that happens. But that's why you have to be sneaky with it sometimes. And you have to just be aware with your scout cav. You need to be scouting. If your opponent got his barracks coming up at men-at-arms timing, then maybe you just make a range at home and you can make defensive skirms against that. That can be good. And yeah, I mean, Byzantines is a defensive civilization here. So that's just sort of the one main really aggressive play that you can make with Byzantines. Otherwise, you like to get your walls up. Buildings have plus 10, plus 20% HP in Dark Feudal. So in Feudal Age, 20%. And that affects Palisade walls too, by the way. So if we go to our Palisade wall, 165. Oh, wait, no. That gets doubled in the Feudal Age, I believe. Or plus 100 HP in the Feudal Age, but I think it gets even more for Byzantines. So anyways, the point is, even your Palisade walls are pretty strong. So what you like to do is you do like to wall up a bit, and you do like to make skirmishers. Like, even skirm spear can be very good. And what does your opponent do against skirm spear? Like, skirmishers with fletching kind of will deal with men-at-arms to some extent. And especially if you get up to the castle age, you make elite skirm. He's going to have to get a bunch of armor upgrades to make longswords fight that. And then you can just add in monks even against the longswords. It's no problem. And I mean, if you're on skirmishers, it's pretty trivial to just add in crossbowmen against longswords as well, right? So you love to go for skirmishers with Byzantines. It's just a very good unit with the discount. Skirmisher and adapt is always a good game plan. But skirmishers will die to scouts, so you do like to be walled. One problem, of course, is that you have no eco bonus. So if you invest a bunch into walls and counter units, and your opponent just has a good eco civ, say that your opponent is Burgundians, and they have free bowsaw. Or sorry, not free bowsaw, but they get bowsaw in the Feudal Age. And you're just sitting back with walls with counter units. He's just getting ahead and ahead by doing absolutely nothing. So in that situation, yeah, going forward with the trash rush can be good with your skirm spear rush. Otherwise, just building up archers and maybe hitting a crossbowman timing could be good. Crossbowman can be good in that situation because just it'll be an earlier attack in Castle Age. So in that situation, maybe you skip Horse Collar. Maybe you get a market earlier, sell your stone, buy some food, get up at around like 30 to 33 villagers, and go forward with like 9 archers. Can be very strong. And then you can get your eco going after that. You can add TCs behind that. It can be a very good play. Because Burgundians is going to be a bit of a slower civ. So that can be good. But the worst thing to do as Byzantines is to basically take damage, sit back, and just do absolutely nothing. And just your opponent gets super, super far ahead in economy. It hits an early imp timing and just kind of kills you. But that doesn't happen a lot because if you look at other Byzantine bonus here, we've actually got Imperial Age costing 33% less. So even if you get a little bit behind throughout the game, you can still get up to Imperial Age pretty fast and compete. But in order to take advantage of an earlier Imperial Age, you want to have some kind of map control. So you can't just go Imp and have no units. And that, again, brings it back to why we want to be on Arb. Because Arbalister is so easy. Just, you make a big crossbowman mass, and then you get Bracer and Chemistry. And then if you can afford it, you get the Arbalister upgrade. But crossbowmen without Arb is still good with all the other techs. And chemistry unlocks bombard cannons, so then you have sort of crossbowmen with bombard cannons, and then you can actually push. If you're up later, or if you are a little behind, you get that bombard cannon tech in, or not tech, but chemistry in. And then you can sort of push back any kind of trebs early as the Byzantines. So it's not really that big of a deal if you don't have the greatest eco with this civ. If you can get up to Imperial Age for those bomber cannons, it can be very strong. Why is Arb prioritized last of those three? Yeah, that's a good question. So what Arb gives you is it gives you 5 HP and 1 attack. So if we look at the crossbowman, 35 HP and 5 attack, we go up to 40 HP and 6 attack. And that's all it does. So it costs 450 food and 350 gold. The 5 HP doesn't even matter because you're not really attacking, or like things aren't really attacking you. You're attacking the enemy with your Arbs, ideally, or with your crossbowman in this situation. So like the 5 extra HP that you get doesn't really matter initially. Also, you want to get chemistry because that gives you +1 attack. So already the important part of the Arb upgrade is covered by chemistry, which is +1 attack. But what chemistry does is it also unlocks bombard cannons, and you want to be making those as soon as possible. So a lot of the time you just can't afford everything, so you need to prioritize things. Bracer gives you +1 range in addition to attack, so it's really good. Chemistry gives you that +1 attack for the same cost as Bracer, which is good. And also chemistry takes 1 minute and 40 seconds to come in. So a lot of the time you click chemistry and Bracer at the same time, chemistry just takes forever to come in. By the time chemistry is getting close to finishing, now you have enough res to get the Arb upgrade. And then you can click Arb upgrade a little bit later and have Arb and chemistry come in at the exact same time. Then your guys are ready to fight. So initially on Imp, you get Bracer, comes in 40 seconds. Okay, 40 seconds later after Imp, now you're ready to do a little bit of a fight because now you have +1 range. You outrange the enemy crossbowman from Castle Age or something with 8 range. Great, now you can fight. Okay, but then the next timing is chemistry and Arb coming in at the same time. Now your guys are supercharged. But if you go Bracer and Arb, it's going to give you the exact same utility as just having Bracer. Like, yeah, +1 attack and extra HP, but your opponent's just running from your army anyways. So no need to have Arb that early. Get that chemistry out first. You can make bombards, and then Arb after. Could be very good. Okay, so as for openings with the Byzantines, we've got Trash Rush and straight archers behind walls. Those are going to be the standard ones. You could do scouts to just try and prevent your opponent from going skirms, but I mean, if you go archers and he makes skirms, you just make your own skirms. It's going to be completely fine. But if you go for stable in the feudal age, now you have a stable which will allow you to make camels really easily in Castle Age. So if you're up against a knight civ, sometimes opening with scouts or going scout like archers into scouts can be good because now you have the stable to make camels if you need them. And Byzantine camels with no upgrades are completely fine. They're super cheap. And if your opponent's making cavalry, just start making camels and you're going to be fine. Otherwise, you could just make a bunch of pikes as well. Pikes and skirms is just a kind of a good composition in the mid game. Like throughout Castle Age, it can be expensive to get some upgrades, but you can get damage done. Like once you have +2 armor on the skirmishers, you can go under TCs and just sit there and just kill vills and stuff if your opponent's not really able to react. So that's the sort of play that you want to do with the Byzantines. They are a little hard to get used to. They feel a lot slower than other civs, and you really have to be paying attention to what your opponent's doing so you can counter them. But Byzantines can be a very good civ. Yeah, Byzantines, they can do the easy build as well. They'll just wall up with ecotechs and then adapt from there. So even though you don't have an eco bonus, you can get early double attacks and horse collar, make a lot of farms earlier, and then you can kind of just have that earlier food income instead of making military. And then with your stronger walls, you can sort of repel enemy attacks and then get cheaper skirms behind the walls, and then you're sort of fine. And you get enough discounts where it feels like you have extra resources, even if you don't have an eco bonus. Okay, so let's get started with Celts. What do we have with Celts? For Arabia. So, Celts, they're really defined by their lumberjacks work 15% faster bonus. Like that is what makes them good. So if you look at their tech tree, it's like, okay, no arb, no hand cannoneer, no thumb ring, no squires, but you have infantry moving faster, so that's fine. So the barracks is looking good. No bloodlines, so it's like your archery range and stable looks kind of not super good. Siege is amazing. No bombards though, like no bracer, no final armor on cavalry. So Celts is really balanced by the fact that their tech tree is not amazing, but their eco is amazing. 15% faster working lumberjacks might be the best eco bonus in the game, actually. But the fact that it's on Celts means that it's balanced. Because wood is the backbone of your economy. You need wood to make farms. And you need farms to get food, and food gives you villagers, and villagers give you more resources, and that's how you get lots of resources in this game, and then more resources give you more military. So that's how you do it. So Celts, even though it says an infantry and siege civilization, you don't actually want to play them full infantry from the start or anything. The standard is to play something like men-at-arms into archers would be a very good play. Because if you go men-at-arms, your opponent's going to make ranged units, and then you sort of just need archers or skirmishers against those. And so, yeah, that would be their standard opening. You can also do something like Huang's style, where he goes for Drush into siege push. So some militia in the Dark Age, just to try and put some pressure on the opponent. Try and keep the opponent open. And then just try and go up to the Castle Age after that and get siege going with, well, they have many siege bonuses. Of course, Lumberjacks bonus helps a lot. Chopping faster is really good for siege. Siege weapons attack 25% faster. And your siege workshops also work 20% faster. So all of those things combined make siege pushing with the civ really good. So those are the main openings. If you go scouts with the civ, it's kind of not as good. Because men-at-arms, they move faster, and they don't die to spears. The whole point of scouts is that you have a faster moving unit, so you can kind of out-mobility the enemy. But if you have faster moving men-at-arms, you're already faster than most things. And, well, the only thing you're not as fast as are enemy scouts. And, well, luckily men-at-arms can kind of fight enemy scouts. So your men-at-arms are kind of like your scouts for Celts in some ways. So you would basically very rarely go scouts with Celts as your opening. It's pretty much men-at-arms into archers. You could go straight one-range archers if you wanted to, but using that lumberjack bonus, it's kind of nice to get some earlier military on the field. Now, Celts is kind of a high-skill civ. Because your lumberjacks work faster, that also means that you need to be adding farms earlier as well, or adding farms faster. Because you're just going to have more wood income, which means you need to spend that wood a lot earlier. So it can be a difficult civ to play because of this bonus. But if you can play them well, they can be very good. You just need to be fast. So, yeah, those would be sort of the main openings. Men-at-arms archers, Drush into Castle Age with a big siege push. Those would be sort of what you would be focusing on. These days, the Woad Raider is kind of an insane unit, too. So, you wouldn't fast castle into it, but you could definitely go for Woad Raiders. Look, they train in 10 seconds. Isn't that crazy? So, for example, Knights, they train in 30 seconds. Time 30 seconds. Same with, like, basically all the cav train in 30 seconds. So, you can train 3 Woads for 1 stable Knights. And Knights have 10 attack, and Woad Raiders have 11 attack. Knights also cost 135 resources, and Woad Raiders only cost 95. So, I mean, if you can get to a castle, 1 castle is going to produce as many Woad Raiders as 3 stable Knights would, if you can keep it running. So, the castle, you can say, in the situations where you would want to have a lot of military production, a lot of guys coming out, actually a castle can be really good if you can get to it. And yeah, Woad Raider, Elite Woad Raider, once you get to Elite Woad Raider, this thing kills like almost everything. 15 attack, 85 HP. So, honestly, Celt late game is pretty strong. So, you don't have to feel like you have to end the game early. A lot of the time, you go Men-at-Arms into Archers, and then do Crossbowmen with Boom. So crossbowman allows you to put pressure while you boom, and adding multiple TCs is easy with the extra wood. So you do that. Once your boom is going, then you have to try and get to woads. So you have to do a lot of unit transitions with this civ. It's like infantry, archers, and then, I mean, Huang, he likes to add a few knights too, because their base stats are just really good. You don't even need upgrades. Like a couple knights to support a siege push can be good too. You can kind of use every unit throughout the Castle Age, like up until Castle Age. But then once you start going towards Imp, you really want to get on Woad Raiders with the Civ. And then their Fura Celtica siege units with extra HP makes their siege ram, it's like 378 HP or something. It's insane. So you get to siege ram and Woad, and you will kill everything. You'll kill gunpowder and stuff. So honestly, like late game Celts can still be very good. And the Lumberjack bonus is still working late game. So it's not like their economy drops off. It kind of does because they don't have 2-man saw or crop rotation. But Lumberjack's working, like you're still 5% faster than a regular civ, and you get that for free. So it's still pretty good. That's what you would do for Celts. So Chinese. This is a crazy civ. So with Celts, we didn't really... It was a pretty standard opening. Like you don't have any differences in the start. But if you take a look at Chinese start, it's very different. So we're actually... I'll just show you how to do the Chinese start right away. So we're actually going to pause here. So see, look. You start with 6 villagers, minus 200 food, and minus 50 wood. So what that means is that you can't build villagers at the start. So your first action in the Chinese game, usually what I like to do is just circle everything and click it here. So we go like this, and then we queue loom. Get the scout cav out of the way, get that up here. Once the sheep is here, we can go on that. We really ideally have this sheep directly underneath. So I probably needed to wait a little bit longer there. Because see, these two are on the outside. And then what you do, once it's at 45 food, you drop off. So right here. We're off by, well, we weren't off by 1. We just didn't have that villager underneath. And then it's somewhat smooth from here. You're obviously finding your sheep and stuff. You just need to make sure to stack your sheep like this. As soon as this bill's about to pop out, you try and click another bill. And ideally, you get like 15 seconds of idle TC. Now, this was a little bit more than that, I think, because it wasn't ideal. This is probably going to be more like 20 seconds. But that's basically what you do. And then you just go from there. Those first few actions are really important. So, actually, what we can do is we can just see the idle TC and capture age just to show you guys. If we have, yeah, this Chinese start. Oh, you guys can't quite see it. There we go. Now you guys can see it. So this Chinese start, we can look at the idle TC down here. Ideal is more like 15 seconds. So we had like 14 seconds at the start, then 16. Oh, it was like 16. Okay, so honestly, it's pretty close to perfect. Even though I obviously did things a little bit off. 16 seconds of idle TC. So not even a villager. So you start with +3 villagers, 16 seconds idle TC. So what does that mean? Well, we are minus 200 food, minus 50 wood. But the 50 wood malice actually doesn't matter in any way. Because your town center as the Chinese gives you 1 extra pop, or 1 extra house worth of pop. So what that means is that, well, houses are 25 wood, but then you have to factor in the build time of the house. So the build time of the house is around 15 wood. Like if your villager was collecting wood, you would have an extra 15 wood in the bank. So what that means is that 1 house is worth like 40 wood. So it's a 50 wood malice, but you basically get 40 free wood from not having to build the house. So basically the wood malice is nothing. So it's just the food malice, pretty much. And, well, if we know our gather rates, sheep are around 20 food per minute. Like, it's not exactly, but it's like 19.8 food per minute. You can say 20 food per minute. So what does that mean? After 10 minutes of villager work time, we have paid back that minus 200 food after 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes with one villager, though. That's just work time. That's the villager work seconds. So, or villager work minutes here. So if we have, say, 2 point something free vills, let's say it's 2 free vills. That means that in 5 minutes, we've already gotten back that 200 food that we lost at the start. So 5 minutes, you're still in Dark Age. So you are actually ahead in the game. You just basically have 2 free villagers with no malice from around 5 minutes into the game. It's actually impossible for your opponent to punish the Chinese start. And so if you're up 2 vills from 5 minutes into the game, well, 2 vills in the next 5 minutes is going to give you another 200 food, right? So at 10 minutes of the game, we're looking like early feudal age. 10 minutes into the game, you're up 200 food. That's crazy, right? That's like having Dravidian bonus, 200 extra wood at that stage, whatever. You know, we're estimating here. You could easily have 200 extra wood at that stage. So it's like, at that point, you have Dravidian free bonus, and then you still have 2 more vills. So every 5 minutes after that, they're collecting another 200 resources. I mean, wood collects even faster than food as well, so it might even be more. That's basically how the Chinese economy looks. And it's way busted. It's the #1 civ. So if you can learn this Chinese start, you're going to get so many free wins. And unlike Celts, Chinese isn't balanced, like their economy isn't balanced by the fact that they have a bad tech tree. Chinese, they have fully upgraded arbalisters. They have champions with, look, their blacksmith is full. They have champions with everything except gambesons, fully upgraded halberdiers, fire lancers without gambesons, insane. I mean, their heavy CA are not so bad, just no Parthian tactics. Their cavalry, they have bloodlines, they have the final armor. That's all you really need. No hussar, whatever. Cavalier can come into play sometimes. They have siege rams. Amazing. Heavy rocket cart. They're decent. Heavy scorpion as well with rocketry. The extra attack for scorpions. Same for extra attack for rocket carts. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, their fire lancers also move faster. Their technologies cost less as well. So not only do they have a crazy economy, they're getting a bunch of free resources compared to every other civ. They also spend less on their techs. So they have an insane economy. Their tech tree is very wide, and they have discounts on tech so they can actually utilize the wide tech tree. And then of course, if you want to boom, your town centers give extra pop. So they give an extra, well, it's plus 10 pop, but they normal town centers give plus 5, so it's actually like plus 5, you can say. You could word this as plus 5 and it would still make sense. Oh yeah, and also their farms have extra food on them. So everything about Chinese is just cracked. Like, it doesn't even make sense how the civ is still in this game, in this state. This civ is insane. And look at the water. They literally have everything in the tech tree for water with the unique dragon ship, which is just a better fire ship. Like, what? I don't play water maps, so I don't really, like, see that very often. But they have everything. Cannon Galleon's just replaced by Lo Chuan, which is just a better unit than these. I think we should buff this. That was the devs, like, a year ago when they... Actually, this town center extra population bonus was a year ago. The devs were like, yeah, Chinese need a buff. And they just added that in. You never seen the dragon ship. I mean, it's like a late game thing. But, yeah. The only thing that they don't have that's good is basically siege engineers. The big flaw in their tech tree is no siege engineers. Everything else is completely insane. Okay, and no redemption for their monks. Like, those two things. Chukunu is also a usable, very strong, unique unit. So, if you're playing Chinese, you want to get to Chukunu plus Light Cav in front. Chukunu to kill everything, except for something like Siege and Skirms, and then Light Cav do that job. That's normally what you do. And no bomber cannons. Yeah, that's true. But whatever. Whatever. They don't have guilds, they don't have crop rotation, so okay. Their economy, if you make it to the late game against Chinese, then the extra villagers that Chinese had at the start of the game don't really matter, because you both have sort of the same vill count at the end. Like, you can say 120 to 130 vills. It's not a big difference at that stage. And then Chinese not having guilds or crop rotation sort of makes them drop off slightly. But, it's kind of tricky. Like, Chinese have insane advantage throughout the entire game. It's only after, like, an hour of gameplay that they start to feel like, oh, they're starting to fall off. Still die to Hal Boninger. Yeah, they can. Basically, without Bombard Cannons, without Redemption Monks, it's a little tricky to do play against Hal Boninger. But they have champions. They have Fire Lancer. You could easily go for those things against that comp, and it wouldn't be too bad. It can be tricky, but you definitely can make it work. But yeah. Anyways, hopefully this has sold why Chinese is completely busted for their opening. Let's get into what they would actually open with, because all we were talking about here was the economy that they have, and the tech tree is very wide. So since their tech tree is very wide, they can go for many different openings. Since the malice of food actually just gets replaced, or you basically break even at 5 minutes into the game, you're actually gaining resources from 5 minutes into the game. So the only strat that Chinese can't really do, that where they're behind in resources, is an early drush. Because early drush requires you to get an early barracks, and you don't quite have the resources for that early enough to make that work as Chinese. But they can do a faster than generic men-at-arms rush, faster than generic everything else. Even their men-at-arms, which is the next fastest thing that you can do. So it's really just drush that you can't really do, aka making Militia and Dark Age and going in attack. You can do very fast men-at-arms with a good economy behind it. Very fast archers. You can play scouts if you want to. You really can do anything. Anything that you can think of. So if you go back to the generic openings video, you can pretty much select anything from that as a Chinese, and you're going to be playing well. I mean, Chinese is considered an archer civilization, but that's kind of meaningless. That's more of just their unique unit is archers, but they really can do a lot of different things. I mean, I guess archers are their strongest suit because arms with thumb ring and stuff, but I mean, yeah, their cavalry is really good. Infantry is pretty good. I mean, fire lancers that move faster is insane if you can use them. And so, yeah, but they do like to just play archers and boom. So crossbowmen with town centers behind it, with maybe a mangonel push. Like, basically, if you go for men-at-arms into archers with this civ, maintain map control. Don't make any big moves and lose your archers, but maintain map control. Get up to the castle age. Forward siege workshop. Like, for example, on this map, say that I am playing men-at-arms into archers. Okay, we attack with the men-at-arms, maybe here. And then we try and control this hill. So we just basically prevent the opponent from coming forward. And we might make a siege workshop on this hill and start just mangonel pushing from castle age with crossbowmen. And the opponent's gold is forward, so maybe we put it here, and maybe we like attack from this side first. Opponent's gold is here, and the other gold is over here. So depending on where the opponent expands on its TCs, that's where we attack with the mangonels. But controlling this hill is so key. You take this hill, and then you just push from here. And if the opponent tries to approach the hill, you'll probably have a mangonel up here. It's really hard for him to approach. You'll have crossbowmen. So if his army's here, you just fall back to the hill, stuff like that. If he goes behind you, well, you're central, so you can easily come back. You have your reinforcements at home too. So controlling the hill is very good. And yeah, you don't even need to do all-in pressure or all-in attack or anything. You just 3TZ boom with crossbowmen, mangonels from the center, and even if your opponent makes a lot of army and he pushes you away, you can fall back on your boom and then just make more military from there. Do you need to make a few farms on the way up? Yeah, you might. Actually, yeah, that is a good thing to point out with Chinese, is that you might need to make a few farms early, because since you start with less food, you will run out of your natural food a little bit earlier. But you can make up for it by adding more to berries or adding some farms earlier. Your farms just have 10% extra food in them anyways, so even without horse collar, you just have a bit of extra food. That's like 17.5 food.